Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just hit that notification button to be notified about our next show. You are live with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here. Got John Beeler with me. We have an awesome program today. Later on, we will be chatting with our good friend Marc Saltzman. You might see his giant face on movie screens across Canada. He's the tech guy there. Well, we're going to be talking to him about some last-minute gifts for Father's Day, of course, on the techie side. We'll also be chatting with an interesting guest out of Ontario. Her name is Jennifer Penman, and talk about the changes happening in the Ontario justice system as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic. How are court cases being heard? How is that changing now that some of them are being done on phone or by video calls? Will we see more of that rolled out across Canada? Well, she's got the lowdown on that. And fiber or not to fiber? We'll have on our great friend Peter Vogel. He is local here, talking about the dust-up between Telus and Shaw regarding fiber claims on the Shaw side. If you are looking to get a new internet package, definitely a segment to listen to. John, let's talk about some of the tech news. And this is a device that you've had in your car for a while now. They've just officially released it in Canada. It's Amazon's Echo Auto. So if you wanted to talk to Alexa in your car, now's your chance for $70.
Yeah, this is something that came out, I think, last summer. And it launched in the US on an invitation-only basis. And it was actually quite a bit cheaper. It was $25 US to get. And it comes with, this little tiny little thing that looks like a pack of gum, basically. And it's got a little magnet on the bottom. And it comes with a little vent clip. You drop it onto your vent clip. And then you basically have a little, basically an Echo Dot for your car.
Is it a speaker?
It is, but it really has a line out, which is what you're supposed to plug into your auxiliary in on your car. And one of the things where you'd want to get something like this is probably a really nice way to get Bluetooth audio into your car if your car has an older stereo and you don't have access to CarPlay or something like that. But I'm still trying to figure out the perfect use case for it from the Amazon side, because I don't really need to be shopping while I'm driving. And
Alexa, for the love of God, I need some toilet paper.
Right. Which you can do, and some people, maybe they're inspired when they're on the highway of, I need to get something. You can literally just ask Alexa to order it for you. You do have access to navigation, but you have to actually launch the Alexa app to see that. So it's probably a little too clunky to do in our currently, distracted driving environments. But it is nice because you do have access to Amazon Music if you're going to use that. So that works really well. And you also have the ability to use any of the skills that you would normally have with that as well. So it works out really well for that. So, it's not a bad price for a really good device for getting Bluetooth into an older car or older car stereo. I'm still trying to figure out the perfect killer app for it, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, some people are just taking their smartphone and getting like a line from their smartphone right into their old stereo and doing it that way, right? And then they're using Siri or Google to talk to it.
Yeah. So, I think it just depends on if there's a use case for you in the Amazon environment. But I was optimistic when I got it last year that Amazon would find a solution or a problem to solve with it. This was just their early attempt at getting it into the car, and I have CarPlay as well in my car, and I actually have the Amazon app, the Amazon Music app on my CarPlay, and I use that because that's my music streaming service of choice. But it's an interesting product that it just feels like Amazon's experimenting with in-vehicle entertainment stuff.
So thumbs up or thumbs down?
Borderline at $70. It wasn't too bad at $25 because you're basically buying a Bluetooth input for your car. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to follow up in a few weeks, see if you get any more use out of that. Okay, we're going to have to take a break. Don't forget to hit our website, www.getconnectedmedia.com. If you go to the newsletter tab, subscribe to the newsletter, and you're automatically entered to win in all of our contests. We're giving away this month a Belkin prize pack, a special 2 Qi charger for your smartphone and other wireless devices, and also some cables and other accessories. And stay tuned. We've got a great show coming up. If you are interested about getting faster internet for your house, stay tuned. We'll be talking with our good friend Peter Vogel back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Beeler. Let's talk fiber, John. You can never have too much fiber in your diet or in your internet package. Well, there's a dust-up brewing between Telus and Shaw here in Western Canada. Shaw has recently rebranded their internet packages to include the moniker Fibre or Fibre Plus for the different packages they have. And this is interesting. Our good friend Peter here, who will be talking with, Peter Vogel, he actually reached out to me earlier in this week on Messenger and just thought, hey, I wonder if this is going to lead to any court battles. And lo and behold, within a couple days, yes. On the line, we've got Peter Vogel. He is a tech enthusiast, expert, and physics teacher. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Good morning, John, and good morning, Mike.
So let's start at the beginning for the listeners. Why is fiber important to have in our internet world?
Well, fiber is the ultimate in terms of bandwidth, and all of the providers want to get more and more of your home business, whether that's TV, internet, security, ultimately medical information and so forth will be exchanged through the home. So bandwidth is the issue. We know that the cable companies are limited with the cable that physically runs into the homes, but we know that the telco, BC Tel or Telus as it's now known, of course, has been able to run fiber into many homes. Not everywhere, and it definitely doesn't have the market range that Shaw does in terms of its cable penetration. But now the two are going to do battle over who can claim the biggest bandwidth, the greatest speed, shall we say.
So fiber. So this is interesting. I mean, they both have fiber networks, but to your point, Telus is now able to get fiber directly from their, I guess, backbone, like that last bit to the actual houses. Whereas Shaw, their main backbone is all fiber, from what I understand. But that last mile to the house is essentially cable or coax. Is that correct?
That's correct. And in order to get that upgraded to fiber, if that were to come with the cable company, then it requires a visit to the home, perhaps even drilling to get the fiber from the road into the residence. Now, Telus embarked on that about 5 years ago, targeted a few municipalities as test cases. The one where I happened to be, Port Coquitlam, was one. And they got waivers to, they didn't have to pay permit fees and so forth, but basically given carte blanche, and fiber ended up in pretty much every home here. Once they had that fiber, then of course they could then target marketing at those homes.
So looking at the marketing now, Shaw has rolled out their Fibre Plus plans. I mean, at face value they look to be kind of the same speeds. You can get gigabit speeds, which is pretty fast. That's 1,000 megabits, if I'm not mistaken, from Shaw and Telus. So the speeds seem to be the same. Are there other differences?
Sure. So the speeds are indeed apparently about the same. Telus's is synchronous, so both up and down are on the order of a gigabit. That's definitely not the case with Shaw. Its technology, the coax part of it, simply cannot deliver that upload speed. And the download speed is, of course, marketed as up to. And that's a very important part of the background, shall we say. But this Fibre Plus term has caused confusion. One would think the word plus means, well, this is better than fiber. But, this is fiber plus old school copper. So it cannot be better than pure fiber.
We talked about it recently when you were on talking about another topic about how the download speed is what's typically marketed, but it's sometimes really the upload speed that can really be the dramatic difference maker for some people. If you're uploading large files to YouTube or Facebook or somewhere else,
or work.
Or even on these Zoom calls that we've been on for the radio shows, having a big pipe going up and down is very important to that.
Yes.
So
very much so. Yes,
we're all on Shaw.
Yes, I have a colleague here in Port Coquitlam, and his job involves uploading converted videos. So he takes in VHS tapes and so forth and prepares them as digital equivalents, and they require massive uploads. He has to work with the Telus side of things. The Shaw speed simply would be too slow for him.
So let's just contrast that. So if you were to get gigabit service from Telus, you would get 1,000 down, but you'd also get 1,000 up. Whereas Shaw, you'd be getting 1,000 down, but from what I understand, is it about 25 megabits up?
Yes, about 25 to 30, and it could even be as low as 10 depending on your plan, but of course not on the gigabit side. But yes, it's up to, I think I've measured up to 30 myself.
So let's talk about Shaw's fiber claim. I mean, they're not wrong if you look at the overall network of Shaw. Like their main network is fiber, correct?
Correct. 99.9, as they claim, percent of it is fiber. So the 100 meters to each house aggregated across Western Canada, their claim is that amounts to the 0.1%, shall we say. So they say 1.4 million kilometers of glass fiber across Western Canada.
Would Telus be able to claim 100% fiber?
On an individual customer basis, yes. Now, your neighbor and my neighbor may not be on a Telus feed, so they wouldn't enter into that. But yes, if you're on a Telus fiber, it's 100% fiber.
I wonder what the judge who will be looking at this will have to take into account. Like, if they can claim that 99.9% of their network is fiber, which is true, in your thoughts, do they have the right to call it fiber?
I suspect they're going to lose this one. I think the claim centers on irreparable harm and damage, and I think if we were to poll a typical group of people, they would assume that the term fiber plus means better than fiber, and that is a tough claim to uphold.
Because they'd have to prove it's better than fiber.
Right. Now, they're prepared to cite the speed tests from September or October 2019. This is the typical industry thing where you get Ookla or speedtest.net to test across your network. And because so much of their network, Shaw's network, is capable of gigabit download, and Telus is not, they're going to claim that our network is overall better in terms of this independent, shall we say, third-party speed measurement.
So, guys, other than us geeks who are all about speeds and feeds, does anyone really care about this? Because they're essentially going to be able to get roughly the same speed from both.
For, as John said, for most consumers, yep, they're not going to notice the difference. If there are individual niche requirements for especially high upload speed, they'll notice the difference for sure. And then, of course, there's the TV side of things. Shaw has aggressively marketed its blue curve, which at one time was Blue Sky, and before that was X1 from Comcast. They need that speed to drive that IP-based TV.
John?
I think it's also worth noting too that I think you'll know if you're on fiber because it's definitely not the cheapest plan that either company offers. I think basically it's, to get the gigabit fiber plus, you're looking at almost $200 just for the internet.
On the Shaw side?
Yeah.
Yeah, the cheapest sort of, say, 700 megabit plan, so 0.75, shall we say, of a gigabit, is on the order of $175, $185 for fiber plus the TV side.
Right.
but even that has risen on the order of 15%, and it's not clear why that is rising.
Mm. Yeah, and we've talked about this on Facebook, Peter, but the fact that we both have an older plan that we're quite happy with. Full disclosure, I pay about $102 a month taxes in for HD channels, and I get roughly 640 megabit internet on Shaw.
Yes, and mine is $120. I'm on the 600 megabit as well. I'm quite happy with that. But that wasn't the going rate, but that was the effective rate. But the marketed price is roughly 160 at that time.
Yeah,
those prices are climbing, and it doesn't look like the two companies are prepared to duke it out over price at this point. They're sticking to their prices.
Yeah. And it's a lot for internet, right? And again, like we've talked about, the average person, anytime you're above 100 or even 300, you're probably not going to see a big difference unless you're doing very specific tasks.
Well, you know why it's more expensive for internet now? Because less people are getting TV. They have to make it that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The internet is the key part of the business. Yes, the TV is ancillary.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are big corporations with shareholders with revenue targets. If one area of their revenue is going down, they have to make that up somewhere. So
yes, they do.
They're going to do that on the thing that has the most demand. I mean, I think I'm paying about $105 or $110 for the 300 megabit plan from Shaw. And
you have no TV though, right?
No, they made me take TV because I phoned them. I was paying like $170 a month, and no one in my house watches regular cable TV anymore. So I phoned them and I said, I don't watch TV, but they put me into a plan for $105 that basically gave me the same thing. But they made me take TV. And it's kind of funny because I've got all the, all the boxes, they're sitting in a bag in my garage. Like I haven't hooked up any of the cable TV boxes to any of the televisions because everyone's just streaming stuff now through all the, the streaming channels.
They sure are. It's going to be interesting to watch this play out, but Shaw and Telus have done legal battle before. This is not the first time that they've taken each other to court. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, it's interesting. We're geeks. I would call us geeks.
Yes.
Are any of you guys rushing out to get the Telus fiber? I mean, obviously we know that, the upload speeds are better, but is that a big deal for you right now?
Not for me.
Same. My plan doesn't come up until November, and generally I do my updates and upgrades and changes around Black Friday, which is how I got the deal I have now.
Smart.
Right.
Well, there you have it. We'll keep on this story here. Again, Telus going after Shaw for Shaw's claim of Fibre Plus. We'll see how that all turns out. Thanks for joining us, Peter.
Thank you very much.
We're going to have to take a break. More tech to talk after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Beeler. Father's Day tomorrow. Are you ready, John?
Sure.
Well, as you know, we are a tech show, so we want to talk about some techie gifts, last minute ones that you could possibly get for the father in your life. To help us, we have got Canada's other tech sweetheart, Marc Saltzman. Thanks for joining us, Marc.
Hey, guys. Whatever. I'm like the East Coast Mike Agerbo is what some people say. Yeah. Toronto based. Yeah.
Do we have like an East Coast, West Coast thing happening?
Yeah, that's right. What colors are you? And I should be careful with the hand signals. I could upset somebody in inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just look dumb doing them.
True. That's true. That's true. That's
out of this.
I wanted to get you on the line, Marc. You've always got great ideas as far as techie gift ideas. So let's go through a list of what you're looking at this Father's Day.
So I've got a half dozen suggestions, ranging in price, of course. One is not quite out yet, but this is something that the family may want to go in on if dad is if his phone is in dire need of an upgrade, like my dad does. I swear his cell phone has a rotary dial on it. It's so bumps. It's coming out soon. It's the P40 Pro from Huawei. It is considered the world's best smartphone camera. just like their predecessors. And I know, Mike, you're familiar with these. I mean, they've partnered with Leica to provide amazing optics. So in this case, 6 different cameras on the P40 Pro. There's 2 on the front, 4 on the back, one of which can do a 50 times zoom. And I've been playing around with it for about 2 weeks, and it's just unbelievable, the photos and videos that this thing can capture. The screen is stunning. It's 6.6 inches almost, and it's got what's called a quad curved display. So it's got a really nice shape to it, really nice design. And the geek in me likes the what's called the 90 hertz refresh rate. So super responsive to the touch, whether you're just scrolling through websites or through texts or whatever, or playing a game. It's really responsive. And then there's a new app gallery. So the Huawei app gallery replaces Google Play, but you can still import your older apps if you've got an Android phone already. And then, of course, for Google services, you can go right to the web browser and access Google Maps or Gmail or what have you. But it's going to be a $0 phone on a 2-year plan with Telus and other carriers. And there's a lot of buzz around that. So again, that's the P40 Pro. But you have to see what it can do to fully appreciate this camera phone.
Very cool. No, we've had a chance to check that out. Highly recommend it. What else you got, Mark?
Yeah. So if dad already has a phone he's happy with, or you want to gift him something by tomorrow, the SureCall Flare 3.0 cellular booster is a great idea, especially if dad's now working from home, or maybe he's got a cottage, a cabin somewhere, and he's trying to get work done, and it's embarrassing to have drop calls. This is a cellular booster, as the name suggests. So regardless of which phone or which carrier you've got, it will cover up to 3,500 square feet and give it a boost for whether it's calls, text, or data. And it's got a patented 2-in-1 design. So it's a small little tabletop unit that has both the antenna and the booster inside the box. And then one cable goes to the outside antenna, which you also get, which you want to mount. And it really does make a difference. I have several friends in the Toronto area who live in the suburbs in little pockets, and it's embarrassing. They're trying to get work done and calls are dropped. I send a text and they get it like an hour later. So this really does a good job. It's on sale in June only for $4.99. And again, it's SureCall is the company at surecallboosters.ca.
Very, very cool. What else you got on the list?
Sure.
Mark?
So I know that you're a fan of computers that just do more than, that just give you more bang for the buck. And I really like the XPS 13 from Dell. I know you've had some time with this. It is a super slim and lightweight laptop, but that's kind of table stakes these days. But they've done such a good job on it that it's a 13.4-inch screen squeezed into an 11-inch body. Like there's virtually no bezel now. And thankfully they placed the webcam, they took it from the bottom a couple years ago and they brought it back up to the top so that you can do video calling like this, which is quite the norm these days, as you know. So despite the fact that there's virtually no bezel, there's a nice little webcam in there, an HD camera, up to a 20-hour battery under the hood, which may not be the sexiest of features, but I think super important, and a 10th gen Intel processor. So there's no trade-offs. You're not trading performance for size. You're not trading performance for battery life. I love the different designs. There's a white finish that has like this woven glass through it. That's really stunning. And you can get it in touch if you want, but prices start at $1,500. So it might be something that the entire family would go in on. Naturally, it's on the higher end of the products I'm going to suggest today, but nonetheless, very, very cool. And the XPS 13, as you know, comes out every year around this time. So this is the 2020 model, of course.
Very cool. No, I love the Dell laptops, and I love what they've been doing as far as the size as well, getting that big screen, but in a smaller package.
Yeah. Well, especially as society's starting to open up, and we are allowed to go out soon, and spend more time on the go in coffee shops, in the park, back at home, maybe to an office. So you don't want to be weighted down. I remember my old laptop. I used to call it the Backbreaker 3000. It was like. Because I wanted something that I can play games with. So as a result, I had this chunky, thick laptop that had a great graphics processor in it, but now you can get that without having that bulk or heavy, big, thick look to it. Now, a couple of ideas for those who like home entertainment. One is a portable projector from Epson called the EF100. So it's a mini laser streaming projector. It has Android TV built in, but the idea is that you can bring it around the house, play games on your ceiling, up to 150 inches, like lie on your couch if you like, or splash a movie on the wall, or if you have a screen, even better. But it has 2,000 lumens. It's really bright, so you don't even really need a screen if you don't want a dedicated place in your home to have a screen that maybe descends down, so to watch a movie. You can actually place this anywhere and even bring it outside. As I mentioned, it is portable. So maybe for summer movie nights in the backyard with your socially distanced neighbors, you may want to watch like a Disney flick splashed up against the side of the house, or if you do have a screen, it's even better. And as I mentioned, it has that built-in Android TV platform, so it's already in there. So it's called the Epson EF100. It's $1,300. But if Dad has more of his eye on a TV, maybe for his man cave, you can now get a 4K 65-inch TV with Dolby Vision and HDR10, high dynamic range for better brightness and color and contrast, for under $650. So Costco has this TV called the Hisense R61G. And it's a Roku TV as well. So you don't have to buy a Roku stick or box in order to access all your favorite streaming services. It's already built into the TV. But it is an absolutely stunning screen. And again, 65 inches. And if you want to go with a 58-inch model, it's under $440. So prices are dropping, the quality is there, and I guess shameless plug because I do write for Costco Connection magazine, but I'm not promoting Costco, but they do have that 2-year warranty. So if there's any questions, to take it back. They add an extra year onto anything you buy. So that's really good for electronics. So yeah, that's called the Hisense R61G if the family wants to go in on a big and beautiful TV for Dad.
Well, coincidentally, you mentioned the Epson projector. We actually have a review up on our website, getconnectedmedia.com. So for the listeners, if you want to check that out, Ged, one of our contributors, actually had a chance to put it through his paces, loved it, and great in daylight conditions as well.
Yeah,
which, I think a great feature.
And that's a misconception, I think, for today's projectors, is that it has to be super black, super dark out, or you need a basement. That isn't the case. So they're getting better all the time. Mm-hmm.
Marc, I want to thank you so much. Where can people find out more information about you?
Yeah, thanks, Mike and John. So marcsaltzman.com is my website, Marc with a C. And on social media, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I link to my articles and my TV spots and stuff like that. So thanks so much. Appreciate you having me, and happy Father's Day to you guys.
Thank you, Marc. When we come back from the break, more tech to talk here on Get Connected. Stay tuned. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Beeler. One thing that we've been following during the COVID pandemic, which I thought was very interesting, is just the justice system, court cases. And I was always kind of wondering, well, how are they going to be dealing with important court cases that need to happen? Anything to do with things like custody issues with families, domestic violence. Well, obviously, with a lot of the courts shut down, they have had to, in some cases, go to telephone and also video calling. In New Brunswick, for example, they have actually done a few of those, and the top justice there now says that this will become more of a tool that they will use going forward. To help us talk through this, we've got a great guest on the line. Her name is Jennifer Penman. She's a partner at Durston Penman Criminal Lawyers. As a criminal defense lawyer, she has practiced at all levels of the Ontario courts. She is also the Toronto director of the Criminal Lawyers Association and an instructor in various continuing legal education and trial advocacy programs. Thanks for joining us, Jennifer.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I found this super interesting. I didn't realize that it, in some cases, was actually being used before. Is this something you've done before, trials or any kind of justice things over telephone or video?
Not before the pandemic. I mean, occasionally we would, in some jurisdictions, have what are called pre-trials over the phone. So that's a meeting between Crown, defense, and a judge, and we would have a discussion about trial issues, potentially resolution. Typically, those were in person, but occasionally those would be on the phone. It would just depend on the jurisdiction and whether the judge was okay with that. Since the pandemic, we've all been forced into doing a certain number of proceedings remotely, whether it be by phone or by video, and this is the new reality in terms of where we're going.
Do you think this will change the way some of these things are heard going forward, that people, I guess, might be a little more comfortable with them now?
Certainly, as we, because we're still in the pandemic, and I think that in terms of what's happening in Ontario, the idea of the remote bail hearings, because almost all bail hearings right now are being done by phone. They're not being actually done by video. That's going to continue. We're doing guilty pleas by phone, sometimes by video. I think the judicial pretrials that I was just talking about, it's going to become the norm now that they're on video. It's far more efficient to have them done on video. From the defense perspective, for example, it just makes more sense to be able to get on the phone as opposed to driving, for example, for me from Toronto to Brampton, 45 minutes to an hour for a half an hour meeting. Just makes more sense to be able to get on the phone. So things like that are certainly going to become the norm. And I know that, there's lots of movement towards digitizing the files, the informations, so that we're going to see a lot more efficiencies from moving from the paper side to the digital side.
Does this mean that we could get through more of these quicker?
So it does. I think there will be some efficiencies. We have to see how it's going to play out. The difficulty right now is how you deal with all the people in custody. So there's a system that we're using in Ontario, and it's absolutely fine if you're doing something relatively simple, that's not complicated, that doesn't involve, for example, showing video. So you might have a surveillance video that you need to show. The technology isn't at the point right now where it can be shown to the person in custody while that in custody program is being used. So if you have a person out of custody, we're moving towards doing proceedings on Zoom or whatever platform might work. That's the way we're going, but some matters are also not suitable to video at all.
I just wonder, if you're just doing these things on phone, how do you determine that the person on the other end of the phone is who they are supposed to be?
So there's a number of protocols in place. So mostly right now it's bail hearings that are happening by video. It's very important that it's the sureties who need to be identified because they are agreeing, if the person is to be released, that they are going to supervise this particular person. So we now have protocols where there has to be a sworn, what's called surety declaration or an affidavit from the sureties. We're now allowed to swear affidavits remotely. Typically, we can try to have meetings like either FaceTime or something with the surety to confirm who they are. And then when they are actually on the phone call, they are under oath often because they're giving evidence themselves, and they have to swear to who they are, and they're willing to comply with the conditions and that they agree with whatever they swore in the surety declaration. It's the best we can do at this point because bail hearings are an emergency proceeding, and we don't want all these people showing up at the courthouse.
Do you see this going into other types of trials, like having juries participate via Zoom? Is that in our future?
So we're not hearing that in Ontario anyway. I think it's in England that they've talked about doing a Zoom jury trial. That's got a lot of pieces or balls up in the air trying to imagine doing a Zoom jury trial. And I think if you're talking about jury trials, you're talking about obviously more serious charges. If you've got credibility issues, then, you're going to want to have the witnesses testifying there in person. It's not on the horizon yet in Ontario in any event, not that I've heard.
What about mundane things like fighting parking tickets?
Well, I think those might be all on hold right now.
Yeah. Is that something you could see going that way as well? I just find this fascinating. I think, a lot of people, for example, didn't think that their employees could work from home very effectively. I think a lot of us have found that they can. Are we going to see a revolution in how the justice system works because of technology now?
I think so, and I think it's going to be great because it'll be a lot more efficient for people. I think the side issue of that is, a lot of people who are fighting parking tickets or some of that provincial stuff are often self-represented, and I'm not saying, and it's not that people with parking tickets are marginalized, but the other aspect of the technology issue is people who are marginalized who don't have access to the technology, whether it be a phone or a video. But yes, I think we're going to see that if possible, if we can do things remotely, whether it's through the e-side of things in terms of paperwork and then dealing with things remotely by video, by Zoom, I think it's going to happen. It has to happen.
How do you feel about it all, Jennifer, as a lawyer?
Well, I'm on the defense side, obviously, and notwithstanding the fact that lawyers in Ontario are an essential service, because the courts are closed, we're essentially not working other than doing the guilty pleas. We're trying to do pre-trials as much as possible. But my practice, for example, is primarily very serious charges. I have murder trials that are just sitting there waiting to go. So I'm anxious to see things get going as quickly as possible, use the technology to deal with things that can be dealt with on big cases ahead of time. So I did a 3-day hearing on a homicide trial that was not anything that involved witnesses. So we did it over the phone. It was dealing with some paperwork type issues, but we were able to deal with it. And now we've moved the matter along a little bit. So I'm very much for it. I think there has to be a balance because some cases just can't be done by video. The people have to be there in person. There has to be an assessment in person of what's happening.
What are some of the challenges and issues that you see that have to be overcome as this kind of rolls out more?
I think it's the marginalized people who don't have access to the technology. In criminal law, you have a number of a demographic that's homeless, very marginalized. They don't have access to internet. They don't have phones. They don't have computers. So there's discussion about potentially duty counsel offices, shelters, probation offices, whether there can be a designated spot with a computer with access to internet, almost setting up sort of not remote court operations, but some kind of remote ability for these people to access the court without having to go to the courthouse. But that's a big hurdle right now, is how we're going to deal with that. And then I think the second hurdle right now is how to deal with people in custody, because the video system is just not working well enough to even do really simple, I suppose you can do simple hearings, but if you wanted to do any kind of documentation or any kind of videos, it's really got its limitations.
We're talking with Jennifer Penman. She is a partner at Durston Penman Criminal Lawyers. She is also the Toronto director of the Criminal Lawyers Association and is instructor in various continuing legal education and trial advocacy programs. Jennifer, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're back with Get Connected. Don't forget to hit our website. We've got a lot of great stuff happening up there right now. We've got links to all our podcasts for the Get Connected radio show and app show. There's video links of those as well. You can see us in full color. And we're constantly putting up new videos and articles all in the world of tech. And speaking of tech, would you like to win some? We have got great prizes happening this year. Right now, we're giving away a Belkin accessory prize pack. You get a little Wemo Smart adapter so you can talk to your lamps. You can also get a cable and a special wireless charger for your smartphone. That's all in the Belkin accessory pack. Again, if you want to enter to win, hit our website at www.getconnectedmedia.com and hit the newsletter subscription tab. It's so easy. And if you subscribe, you'll be entered to win all the contests we have going all year. And again, your odds are pretty good. You know, it's in the thousands. It's better than the lotto. Again, www.getconnectedmedia.com. I want to thank all the folks that helped put this show together. It's a great team. Of course, John. We've also got Stephen, Christina, AJ, Ged, Graham, and Nigel, and Paul. We'll see you again next time.